Hello everyone! As you can see by my appearance, I am Ghost Minion Michelle. And as you can see by the title of this video, I am going to be briefly discussing the classic supernatural comedy Ghostbusters. I thought it would be interesting to address a comedy since ghosts are involved, and it happens to be Halloween oriented because yes, one of the things that people like to dress up as probably one of the more traditional Halloween costumes, is ghosts. And ghosts appear everywhere throughout Halloween, and Ghostbusters maintains to be one of those films that we recognize even to this day. Now you might be asking, why is that? Well, there are a variety of reasons for this. First, let's address these performances by Bill Murray as Dr. Peter Venkman, Dan Aykroyd as Dr. Raymond, and Harold Ramis as Dr. Egon Spengler. Now, the interesting thing about these three performances by these people for these three characters is that they are interesting. They are fun to watch. They have a lot of chemistry together as they're performing. You really do see who is who and who really fits in with this group of Ghostbusters. Now, you might be wondering, what is this film primarily about? Well, it's pretty much based around what the title is, yes, Ghostbusters, but there's still a little bit more to it than that. Yes, they bust ghosts, and yes, that is the main part of the story, but there are other things that are involved within this film. There is a government villain that sort of steps in and takes part in the plot, which you will see if you choose to watch this film. Sigourney Weaver's character, Dara Barrett, plays an essential role to the plot, and you will see this as the film progresses. But basically, Ghostbusters bust ghosts, and they sort of are the town heroes for it. And you will see how they really become the Ghostbusters if you choose to watch the film. Now, what makes these characters in this performance really work is you see who the characters are. For example, Bill Murray's character, Peter, has a really flippant persona, and he is the leader. He is basically the alpha dog of these other two leading male characters. The reason why is because he has that leadership quality to him. He has certain aspects to his personality that show confidence and his ability to, communicate to the group effectively. So hence he is the leader, and he comes off as very charismatic at times, but kind of in a sleazy way. But it works because he's a fairly likable character, and you can kind of understand where he's coming from as a leader. Dan Aykroyd's character, Dr. Raymond, is very childlike and passionate about ghosts and the supernatural. He is the most, I would say, experimental of the group. He's the one that stands out because he tries to go out and tries to figure out what's going on. And he's sort of at the forefront when it comes to getting these ghosts to be put into their place. And that's what makes his character so compelling, is because he's not the leader, but at the same time he provides a very essential role into the group, in that he really makes this supernatural emphasis on their work as at the forefront, because he has this really childlike passion for it. And this is a very likable trait, because we see how it progresses throughout his sort of character arc, I guess you could say, or if you could call it that. And he's just a very interesting person to watch, because he has these qualities that do make him fairly likable. And even though he's not the leader, he still manages to do the job and get it done fairly effectively. Now, for Harold Ramis' character, Dr. Egon Splendgar, he's the intelligent one. He's really the brains, the science behind the operations. So it makes sense that she would have these sort of three kinds of people sort of come together and form what we call the Ghostbusters. And the film, although it does focus on a variety of different ghost bustings, it does center around one busting in particular that they're trying to figure out, which takes up a lot of the plot, and also the fact that they try to put in this villain too, who is part of the government, who's trying to sort of shut them down. So you do see how this is this impacts the plot significantly. So really, that's at the heart of the Ghostbusters film. It's designed to be good heroes, good unlikely heroes versus supernatural ghosts, as so to speak, and spirits. So it's not widely complex. This isn't a film that is designed to get you out really thinking about it, but it's designed to be a feel-good movie. And that's what the Ghostbusters film does. It makes you feel good because these characters are so engaging, because the plot brings the characters forward and really demonstrates who they are as people. And the fact that they're so unlikely to be heroes, because usually we don't associate these kinds of people as being the heroes. Usually it's superheroes, people who are relatively good looking or have a lot of money, but these are very unlikely heroes, and we usually don't see that in a lot of films, at least films that are kind of even centered around Halloween. Usually heroes are not even really the focus of Halloween, usually it's villains, but it's interesting to see that these people take a sort of place in this film as being really the people who ultimately win the day. And that's really what this film is trying to focus on. It is trying to be that kind of a film. And it does it, I think, so well that you can't help but feel satisfied after watching it. At least that's the satisfaction I had. And heck, I'm a ghost. I'm supposed to be afraid of these people. But they still come off fairly effectively, and they know how to set up themselves so that ultimately their abilities can make them save the day. So it's more about their personalities and how they work off each other rather than about their strength or their powers, I guess you could say, even though their powers are really designed by them, because again, you got those machines that try to suck ghosts away, and oh, please don't show me those machines. Those machines scare me. But despite that, despite just the fact that it's really not a deeply complex film or as eerie as something like The Exorcist, it's still a feel-good movie. And even though there are some adult humor and adult jokes, I still think kids could watch this fine, actually. I mean, yes, there are certain points where there are, funny, haha, adult humor. There's still things that kids can, I think, really get behind, and I think children in particular will like this kind of a film because you do have these, like, unlikely heroes coming in and sort of being the center of attention and sort of going out and saving the day. But that's really at the heart of Ghostbusters. Now, let me just briefly address the song, although, to give you a hint, there'll be somebody else addressing more songs like this in the near future. But what I will say about the song, the Ghostbusters song, at least the Ghostbusters theme song, is that it works in the sense that it is very catchy and it does sort of reflect what how the Ghostbusters present themselves, because you will see them being advertised on television throughout the film, and that they do try to take themselves like they do. It shows that they take themselves seriously, but again, in practice, it doesn't really come off as seriously. Even within the commercials, you kind of feel like it's just really goofy and just kind of designed to be like, haha, look at all of you ghosts, and look at how we're going to help all these people who are struggling with ghosts and whatnot. So it is a goofy story, it is a goofy premise, but it works to its advantage because it is engaging with the characters, with the plot, and there's just a lot of funny moments that come out of it, and it's a very genuine film in that sense. It has this childlike heart to it, and I think that's why it really works. It just has this funny way of approaching this kind of a topic, and it comes off as just enjoyable to watch, and the characters are engaging, the acting is very well done. So you cannot help but, I guess, really get sucked into Ghostbusters, and I think it's a classic for that, a classic in regards to that, and definitely deserves uh, a lot of praise for what it does. And yes, it's not perfect. It's obviously got issues, but I think for what it's trying to say as a film, it comes off fairly effectively. And I definitely would recommend it for you to watch it this Halloween season if you are unaware of this film, or are aware of this film and either enjoy it for its goofiness or its well done characters. Then yes, those are the many reasons as to why people, I think, enjoy watching Ghostbusters. But if there are any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them, comments or concerns. And yeah, it's kind of strange that me as a ghost is praising this movie, but you know, it's good that they get the job done. And I'm a friendly ghost too, so when they kind of bust somebody that, you know, is just causing havoc, it allows us friendly ghosts to kind of be like, yay, we don't need to put up with them anymore, haha. But yes, this is definitely a film that should be on people's Halloween's list if you enjoy these kinds of films. But ultimately, I think that's really all I can say. But again, if there are any questions, comments, concerns, more than happy to answer them. But until next time, goodbye, everybody, and have a wonderful, wonderful month of Halloween.